Xiaomi's Redmi Note and Redmi Note Pro series have been incredibly popular in India, and that's because they offer features like large screens, great battery life, lots of camera capabilities, and powerful processors at very interesting prices. We have the latest model with us right now, and that is the Redmi Note 9 Pro. We're going to unbox it right now and give you a quick overview of its most important features. Before we get started though, do please make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you know whenever we post a new video. So as you can see, we have the Redmi Note 9 Pro in front of us. Now this box looks pretty much the same as what we've seen in the past from the company, and there's quite a lot to take in if you look really closely. So let's look at the front of the phone first. Obviously we can see there's a pretty large screen with relatively narrow borders and the hole punch front camera right up top over there. At the back we can see that there are 4 cameras in this squarish module in the center, and if you look very closely you'll see what appears to be a power button on the side with an embedded fingerprint sensor. Now you can tell because it's just slightly depressed and wide over there. We can see also that this particular unit is the 6GB RAM and 128GB storage variant, and Xiaomi is very proud of the Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G processor. So taking a look around the sides of the box, there's really nothing other than the name. We've just got a shipping label over there, but there's a lot more to see on the back. So of course, again, we see the 720G processor highlighted, but we also get told that it's manufactured on an 8nm process and optimized for power consumption. We can tell that there is a 48 megapixel camera as one of the 4 on the rear and a 16 megapixel one on the front. The display is 6.67 inches diagonally, and of course the dot over there is emphasized once again. But we are also told that there's Corning Gorilla Glass on the front and back of this phone. And the next highlight is the 5020 mAh battery with an 18-watt fast charger in the box. There's even more fine print over here, so we see that yes, there is a 48 megapixel primary camera, the rest are 8, 5 and 2 megapixels, and those are an ultra wide angle, macro and depth camera respectively. We have a splash proof nano coating but no official IP rating. Dual VoLTE with Wi-Fi support, Navic, which is India's brand new satellite navigation system, which is the equivalent of the global GPS system, Type-C USB connector, and there is confirmation that we have a side-mounted fingerprint sensor. And we also see that this is the Aurora Blue version, and of course we have a bright red Made in India logo right here. So there isn't much left to do. Let's just open this box and take a look at the device itself. There we have it. There's a little paper folder at the top with the SIM eject pin as expected. Very minimal paperwork. And a completely clear, transparent rear case. Now, Xiaomi has told us that the blue and white versions of this phone will come with a clear case, but the black one will come with a smoky case, which should be an interesting little detail for people who are deciding between colors. Now here we have the phone itself, and there we have it. The blue, which is a lot brighter than the image on the cover of the box would have led us to believe. You can see the protruding quad camera array over there with another patch that extends downwards with the flash embedded in the center right over there. Let's take these stickers off. There we can see the very glossy back of the Aurora Blue version of the Redmi Note 9 Pro. Not only is it very glossy, but it does catch the light as we turn it around, and you can see these patterns reflecting. So there's another protective plastic sheet on the front, and what we can do is turn the phone on while we look at the rest of the box contents. So as expected, there isn't a whole lot to see. We have a USB Type-C cable, and here is the relatively chunky 18-watt adapter. So there you have it. That's everything you get in the box with the Redmi Note 9 Pro. So here's the phone, and obviously it runs MIUI 11. Let's quickly go through the setup process. So while we're waiting for the phone to set up, here's a little detail that we've just noticed. It seems that the chin of the Redmi Note 9 Pro is quite a bit thicker on the device itself than it looks like on the lid of the box. We can also see that the cutout for the camera is quite a bit larger than this picture would have us believe. So now the phone is set up and we can take a closer look at it. Let's look at the hardware first. Here we have on the side the power button with the integrated fingerprint sensor and the volume buttons right above it. Now these won't be very easy to reach, but that's something that people will have to live with. On the top we have a secondary microphone and the usual infrared emitter which you can use to control various appliances. At the bottom, we have a USB Type-C port, a speaker grill, and thankfully a 3.5mm audio socket. You can see the metal frame of the phone matches the color of the rear. Let's now take a look at the SIM slot. There, as we can clearly see, there are two individual cutouts for nano SIMs as well as a micro SD card slot. On the rear, of course, we have the 4 cameras in a slightly raised bump, and we can already see quite a lot of fingerprints on the back of this phone. So let's talk about the design a little bit. Xiaomi is calling this its Aura Balanced design, and that's because everything is meant to be perfectly symmetrical. So the cameras on the rear, the placement as well as the bump itself, the flash, the text on either side of the flash that says 48 megapixel and just camera, the logo. So according to Xiaomi, everything about the weight of this phone is perfectly balanced, so if you hold it in your hand, you shouldn't have any issues. So right on the front, we have the 6.67-inch display, which is the largest ever on a Redmi Note device. We have, of course, a full HD Plus resolution here. There's Gorilla Glass 5 on the front as well as the back. And Xiaomi tells us that this is an IPS panel. The processor is also a step up because the 720G marks the first time that Xiaomi has used a 7 series Qualcomm processor for this particular lineup, as opposed to 600 series processors in the past. Xiaomi says it chose this processor because of its power efficiency, and the company also notes that we can expect lower temperatures while gaming or doing anything else intensive than on previous models. The primary 48 megapixel camera on the rear uses a new Samsung ISOCELL sensor and has an f1.7 aperture as well as super phase detection autofocus. Xiaomi has said that the color profile that this camera captures is optimized for Indian tastes. That means that while other brands might use the same camera sensor, you won't get exactly the same results. Xiaomi says that one of the main audiences for this phone is content creators, especially TikTok video creators, and so the cameras front and rear have been optimized for that kind of usage situation. Of course, you can stay tuned to Gadgets 360 for our full review, in which we'll get into much more detail about the camera hardware and software capabilities of the Redmi Note 9 Pro. Another first for the Redmi Note series is the 5020 mAh battery, which Xiaomi says is the largest ever on a model in this range. You also get an 18-watt charger in the box. The Redmi Note 9 Pro will be available in 2 variants in India, one with 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage, and the other with 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. The dedicated micro SD slot can be used to add up to 512GB of additional storage. So there we have it, the Redmi Note 9 Pro, which raises the bar in terms of features and expectations, but how well will it perform? Stay tuned to Gadgets 360 for our full review, in which we'll cover the performance, battery life, cameras, and much more in great detail. Thanks for watching.